Hey everyone, welcome to Bookends of Recovery, where recovery gets real and loved ones aren't left behind. I'm Laura, and if you're looking for tools and personal experience, support without the sugarcoating, aka BS, you are in the right place. We are going to talk about affirmations. And those are more than those motivational quotes that we see on social media. And yes, I am very guilty of posting them too. But man, I'm telling you, I just love playing around on Canva. But affirmations are intentional statements that support your mental and emotional well-being. And these are important because they help us reframe those limiting beliefs. Sometimes those limiting beliefs come from like our food or just things that we have told ourselves throughout our addiction or through lived experiences that we've had by living with an active addict. Um, and so by repeating these affirmations, it helps build resilience and then it strengthens your ability to keep going even when things feel hard and your mind is just going from 0 to 100. And we all know that when we're in recovery and healing, it's it's challenging, it's emotional, and sometimes it's just freaking exhausting. So those words that we speak to ourselves can really shape and frame your experience. So let's take a scientific kind of approach at why affirmations work and how they help in both recovery and in support roles as well, and how to use them in just your everyday life. Okay, so we've talked before about the two pathways in our brain, the beautiful one, the positive, and then the negative, right? So the positive one is lush and beautiful and filled with those healthy, positive behaviors that we're trying to get toward. And then the negative one is like thorny and overgrown and filled with that unhealthy crap that we're trying to get away from. So the more we travel down the positive path, the easier it is to make positive choices. And so your brain listens to what you repeat. So when you say something often enough, it starts to feel true. And that's thanks to a process called neuroplasticity. Our brains have an ability to rewire itself. And I cannot tell you how many times I have put on Reddit that it's so important and what a pivotal moment it was, especially for my husband when we learned that ability, because it was always taught to us because we're in our 50s. We always learned that once an addict, always an addict, and you raise your hand and you reinforce that, and so you're just kind of put in a box. But knowing that we have the ability to rewire our brain is huge. And so neuroplasticity means that with repetition and intention, we can create new pathways in our brain and weaken old ones that no longer serve us. So just think, like that lush and beautiful versus the overgrown and thorny, right? So your affirmations are like daily mental exercises for your malleable mind. That's right. You knew I was going to throw it in there, didn't you? Just love that word. Anyway, and so research actually does back this up. A 2016 study that was published in Social, Cognitive, and Affective Neuroscience found that self affirmation activates the brain's reward system just like it lights up when we receive a compliment or we eat our favorite food. Did someone say caramel rice crisps? I know, I have switched. I'm doing better. Kudos to me, right? It used to be goldfish, but I've switched over to caramel rice crisps. But that's not BS. Like, biology is saying, say more. Are there any Dr. Orner fans out there? Okay. But in behavioral therapy, especially my favorite, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, affirmations align with a key principle that we can change how we feel by changing how we think. CBT uses similar practices like reframing and repeating truth-based thoughts to help reduce things like anxiety and depression and self-doubt. So for someone in recovery, this means I'll never change with I am learning new tools to make changes. And for loved ones, it might sound something like, shifting from I have to fix this to I can support them without losing myself. And of course, affirmations are going to work the best when they're repeated regularly. And, they're rooted in truth and they connect to your core values. It's not about pretending that everything is rainbows and sunshines and puppies and kittens. Everything is not perfect. It's about reinforcing the belief that change and healing are possible. So don't worry if you're in a place where you feel like your values and your beliefs have been, compromised by things that maybe you've done or you've seen or you've felt, because I was there too. During the height of my husband's addiction, it was just, I did things and I was like, looking back, I'm like, my God, what have I done here? And so I've been there, but your core values are still within you and they can be restored. So how do affirmations help? For people in recovery, they disrupt negative self-talk. They regulate emotions during urges or triggers, and they also build self-trust and they reinforce a sense of purpose. They create a distance from like that shame-based identity, right? How many of us have thought, I'm bad, and more. They center more on the identity of I'm growing. I've shared before about with my favorite Brene Brown talks about shame and guilt. Her TED talk that just, oh my gosh, it helped me so much. And I'll share it again. I know I probably share this too much. I know I share it a lot on my website, but the her quote is, shame is a focus on self, guilt is a focus on behavior. Shame is I am bad, guilt is I did something bad. How many of you, if you did something that was hurtful to me, would be willing to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake? How many of you would be willing to say that? Guilt. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Shame. I'm sorry, I am a mistake. I mean, I just love that quote so much because I think I resonated with it so much because of, you know, how I grew up. And it's just it's amazing. And so for loved ones, affirmations can reduce that fear-based thinking that we fall into. We get so, at least I do, I can't speak for everyone. We get so worried. I said we again. I got so worried that my husband was going to have a setback. And so I would get caught in this spiraled thinking of it would start out one way. And then before I knew it, I was just caught in that loop. And affirmations helped me realize I am stronger than my trigger. And, you know, they also support emotional boundaries. They remind you it's okay. It's okay to take care of yourself, you know, because a lot of times we end up putting other people ahead of ourselves. And so one of mine was, I am worthy of self-care. Because for the longest time, I felt guilt just for taking like a bath or just driving out and looking at the water or going to the beach and just, even when it was winter, and just going out to the beach and just standing and looking at the ocean, you know, because in my head, I'd be like, my God, like the dishes aren't done, or I need to sweep the floor. Like, who gives a shit? Really? Who cares? But for some reason, I did. Now I'm like, who cares? I'm gonna go to the beach and look. You know, the water's gorgeous. But they also reinforce that your worth isn't tied to someone else's choices, and that for me was also pivotal. So whether you're saying, you know, I'm capable of staying sober today, or I can care without carrying everything, affirmations can help you return to what matters. So some of the ways that you can incorporate them into your daily life is just, you know, start your morning with one statement that supports how you want to feel. If you're in recovery, it can be, like I said, you know, I am stronger than my trigger, or I am strong enough for today. And if you're a loved one, it can be, you know, I am showing up with love and boundaries. You can, if it helps, you know, you guys already know about my index cards, so I won't go over won't go over my purple index cards yet again. But you can write them down. You can use a journal. You can use Post-it notes or a workbook, which of course I created for you, and that will help you do something to make it consistent. You know, make it part of your routine. And you can also use them, you know, in the moment when emotions are feeling intense. So that would look like saying them when an actual urge hits. So if you're feeling intense emotions, you can say, this will pass, I can move through it. Or if you're, you know, the loved one, you can tell yourself, you know, I can stay grounded even when things are feeling uncertain. If you want, you can incorporate them during grounding exercises. If you're someone who likes to do deep breathing, you can take deep breaths and then just try placing, your hand over your heart and then just speak the affirmations out loud to help calm your nerves. And then here's a quick bonus tip from psychology. I'm not making this one up. Not just making this up on my own. Using the affirmations in present tense, like not the future, like I'm going to, but saying, I am, makes them more effective because your brain processes things like I am learning to trust myself as more real and actionable than I will trust myself someday. So I'm going to give you some examples for recovery and support that you can, just use and then tailor to your own needs. And then if there's time, I will go ahead and do a walkthrough, a workbook walkthrough. And those of you who are not interested, I'll give you a heads up so you can click out. But so examples of affirmations for those of you in recovery would look something like, I am not my past. I will make healthy choices today. I am healing. I am stronger than my triggers. For loved ones, I am doing my best. I am allowed to rest and protect my energy. I am not responsible for another person's recovery. And then for both of you, it can be, I am learning to respond instead of react. I deserve compassion. I am worthy of love. I am deserving of respect. I am valuable. And again, affirmations are not just some magical fix-it, cure-all, right? Nothing is. But they are powerful. And in recovery and in loving someone through recovery, a lot of times we may feel like we're pulled in different directions, and affirmations can help ground us and just bring us back to, that center. They help us focus on the things that we can control, right? Our mindset, our words, our next step. They're not about being that quote unquote toxic positive or faking it until, fake it till you make it kind of thing. It's about creating enough inner safety to show up for yourself with that grace and patience that it takes. Because you really have to, God, I know I say it all the time. You really have to be patient with yourself. You have to give yourself grace as you're going through this. Because this journey is long. And I know we want it to go fast, but it does take time. And so whether you're navigating your own healing or you're holding space for someone else, let your words be part of what helps you move forward. Because you deserve kindness, and it really does start from within. And so you can speak it into existence. You can practice it. You can believe it. And I know that sounds like such cheesy, life coachy speech, and maybe that's because that's what I did, but affirmations do work. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the affirmation journal worksheet. And for those of you that are just like, whatever, You can click out now. Or if you want, you can go download the journal. You don't have to, but you can, just reflect on the affirmations that support your, recovery or your role as a loved one. And just know, like, each affirmation it's going to be paired with a journal prompt to help deepen your practice and help you reconnect with your core values. So again, if you're not interested in this part, and you're ending here, I really appreciate you and thank you so much for stopping by. But for those of you that are continuing, let's get started. The first affirmation and journal prompt is, I am not my past. What part of my past do I need to release today? Okay, and then the next affirmation is, I am healing. And then the journal prompt is, what does healing look like for me right now? And it's okay not to have all these answers. There is no right or wrong. All right, and the next affirmation, I am stronger than my triggers. And the journal prompt, what triggered me recently and how did I respond? Your next affirmation, I am allowed to rest and protect my energy. Journal prompt, what helps me rest and recharge when I'm overwhelmed? Next affirmation, I am learning to respond instead of react. Journal prompt, what's one moment today where I can choose response over reaction? And be mindful that not all of these things have to be related to your recovery or your healing. You can take these things and bring them out into, like, your family, your work, your school, your social settings, your friend group, your food, all of it. Your next affirmation, I will grow through this moment. And your journal prompt, how am I growing through a current challenge? Your next affirmation, I deserve compassion. Journal prompt, what would it look like to show myself more compassion today? And then bonus on this one, even though it's not on my worksheet. What is one thing I can do to make that happen? Okay, next affirmation, I am worthy of love. And the journal prompt, what makes me feel loved and how can I nurture that? Next affirmation, I am valuable. Journal prompt, what are 3 qualities that make me valuable? Next affirmation, I can care deeply without losing myself. And the final journal prompt, How can I care for others while also setting boundaries? And bonus on this one as well. What is one thing I can do today to help set a boundary? So, for deeper reflections, and I'm actually going to have one on this particular podcast, I have a new Substack that I created. It's bookendsofrecovery.substack.com, and it's just it's going to be different for my or not going. It's different from my website and my podcast, and it's where it's got just more personal backstories, things that you're not going to see or hear on my website or my podcast, just in more detail. And just my little cozy corner of the internet for bookenders who want to continue to grow and want a little bit more detail, and where I dig into stuff I don't always share on the mic. And I'm also exploring a free online chat space for my bookenders. So if that's something that sounds like you'd be interested in, let me know. Head over to bookendsofrecovery.com and fill out the contact form, because I would like to see people connect, both addicts and loved ones of addicts. I do ask that if I do create this chat space, of course, there's not going to be any bashing of anybody. No, you have to leave this person or whatever. You can't tell, an addict what to do. Like, it needs to be a safe space. So that would be like a big condition. So, but if that sounds like something that you guys would be interested in, go ahead and fill out that contact form and let me know. And if I get enough requests, then I think I'll go ahead and do that. And as always, you'll find free worksheets and blog posts on my site, and you can join in on the conversation anytime and at Facebook at Bookends of Addiction Recovery. Thank you so much for continuing to listen. I appreciate you. Stay grounded, keep pushing forward, and I'll catch you on my next episode. I'm sending all of you positive vibes and a beautiful day because you deserve it. Thank you so much.